Hello, everyone, and welcome to Offers and Commissions inside of Command. I am Robert Vincent. I am your Market Center technical trainer, and I am here to talk about all things commission related. I know you want to get paid, and I'm here to show you how. So let's go ahead without further ado, and let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on here. So when we talk about offers and commissions, I say them together because I kind of have to, because you can't go directly to commissions inside of an opportunity without completing an offer first. And that creates a little bit of kind of a hurdle, if you will, for some of you, because many times when you're ready to get to the commissions tab, you've already gone through the offer process. Command is designed to be a robust and complete tool for you to be able to completely manage all aspects, all phases of your opportunity, of the contract. And that one little part in there, the offers part, a lot of people don't know that that tool that's in there is designed to help you generate and deliver offers for your clients on your client's behalf. So when we look at this, you have to keep in mind that this is designed to give you extra added value to what you're doing. But many of you are bypassing the offer phase in Command and generating your own offers or communicating offers to your clients in your own way. And you just need to get to the commissions tab. Unfortunately, that's not something you can do. You have to go through the offers area first. So let's get into this and see what's going on and figure out the best way to navigate through the offers and commissions. So first of all, we always start with our contact, and we're going to the offers and commissions tab, but to get to that, we start at our contact. So we're going to start off with getting our contact here. And here's our contact. And in our contact screen in our database, we're going to go over here to opportunities, and we're going to click on the opportunities and see where we have for opportunities. And we're going to go over here to the opportunity itself. And now I'm skipping a part here. I will tell you this because I'm just focusing today on offers and commissions. So I have not done any of the actual documentation. As you'll notice here, when we get to the documents tab, none of the documents have been uploaded. None of the documents have been submitted. This is a requirement for you to get paid. So you will need to make sure that all of your documentation is in Command on this page in the right folders over here on the left, listed under contract and closed, submitted to the MC and approved. This is part of getting paid. So I'm skipping it in the interest of time with this class because I spend a lot of time in different classes talking about how to make this page work. So we'll skip that. We will make the assumption that we have submitted everything to the Market Center and everything is in good shape. Now we are trying to get the offers and commissions tab filled out. So from the documents tab here, we'll go one to the right and we'll click on offers and commissions. Notice that you cannot click on commissions by itself. You have to go through the offers. So here we are. Offer timeline. There are no offers for this deal, though there's going to be in a second. We'll click on the right-hand side. We'll click Add New Offer. You need to give the offer a name. The default is Initial Offer, and in many cases, that will be just fine. If you need to make versions of them, you can create additional versions and give them names. We'll create this offer, and now we are presented with the offer form, if you will. So here we are, offers and commissions. We're building it out. And when we get finished with these 4 stages, offer details, parties, terms, and analysis, once we finish those 4 stages, we will have an offer. Offer details, there's that offer name again. The offer date. Now you can put this in and change this if you're going to use this as generating an offer. So what was the date the offer came in? Maybe the offer came in yesterday. The closed date was the closing of that, so we can use the date that's in there for that. So we'll say parties. So what I did was I clicked on the next arrow for parties, and it took me from offer details to parties. You'll notice here that the buyer has an asterisk, the seller has an asterisk, and so the representation, so the associate name for both sides has asterisks. They are required. So for the buyer, you can put anything you put the name of the buyer in here, and you'll notice that it's not necessarily searching your database. So if I search in here, if I type something, it's not looking in my database for the buyer. This, in this case, was a seller opportunity or a listing. So we do automatically pull the information for the seller in here. So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and put in John Morgan as the buyer, but I don't need the email, the phone number, all of that information. If you are going to use this tool as an offer generating mechanism and build an offer in command, fill this out. As a matter of fact, let's see, it's J Morgan? I forget what I have here, at Gmail. Okay, and then we'll put in 603-555-1212 and no fax for that. So here we have address. This is the buyer's address. So maybe this is 123. Actually, I'm not going to put in 123 Main Street. We're going to do 987, and I'll just take New York, New York. Okay. Here we have the address on the right-hand side where we can put in the street address of our seller. And I'm going to go ahead and fill out some of this information so that you can see what the offer looks like when it's generated, because I think you'll be quite impressed with the way that it looks. Pre-approved and pre-qualified. These are different. A lot of people think that these are kind of the same. They're not. Pre-approved means that they've done the initial analysis and the approval is kind of in place, but they have not qualified. Actually, I should say it the other way. They pre-qualified is where they put the initial paperwork in, and it's kind of like, yeah, we think this is going to go through fine. And then the pre-approval is where you're actually done. So you can check these both off so that your buyer is showing to your seller as they are pre-approved and they are pre-qualified. The representation name, you will need to put a name in here. So you'll see that it says associate's name. Now you can search in here. Let's search for, let's say, we're going to see, no, actually you're not going to be able to search. Okay, Karen, let's say it's Karen, KARPINSKI-FUHRMAN. Karen Karpinski-Furman is going to be our associate that is our buyer's representative. And of course, we can put that in here as her email. So I'm going to do k at kw.com because I don't know her email address. Phone number if you have it. And then that information on the right will be for the representation. In this case, this will populate because it's a listing with you. Terms is next. So we'll click on terms. We'll go back up to the top of the page and let's take a look and see what we have here. So in the initial offer, we're on the third stage of just the offer. In the terms area, we have cash, finance amount, and sales price. When you add cash and finance amount, that will automatically generate a sales price. So let's say they put down 20,000. You see that the sales price ends up at 20,000. The finance price, let's say that was going to be 430, giving us a sales price of 450. So if there was no cash on that, you would leave that off and just put the total amount in the finance to get the sales price here. The earnest amount is the equity. So you can put a percentage, you can put a 5% and it will generate it, or you can put a number in here and it will automatically push back for the percentage. They're reciprocal values and they will populate on either side automatically. So whatever you put in here, if it's a 20,000 equity, then just go ahead and put that in here. Option fees, if there are any, can be placed in here. So if you have an option fee, let's say $2,000. Oh, that's a little bit much. You can put that in here. Now I'm putting all these values in here so that you can see what they look like on an offer that's being presented. Now you may not use all these numbers. You may not have any need for that. But the point is I'm going to put these in here so that you can see what it looks like on the offer when it's being generated with all the numbers so that you can see where they fall and what it does to the impact and the look of the offer. Buyer will give notice of termination within, let's say, 3 days of contract. So that will be something in the termination option here. Seller costs. Seller will contribute. Let's say they're going to sell, they're going to contribute $5,000 to the residential service contract. And seller will contribute X amount of dollars to settlements. So let's back this down. Let's do 2,000 here, and let's do 3,000 here, so that you can see a total of 5,000. So the contract itself, and then the settlement costs. So you have two different numbers here for seller contributions. Next up is the agent analysis. Now, what this is this is an opportunity for you as the agent to look over the offer and provide your professional pros and cons on this as to why this offer is good and why this offer is bad. So you're putting in your pros and cons here. Let's say the pros are looks like a winner, and over here the con is might cause delays. I don't know. I'm only putting these in here just so that you can see them. You would put your own statements in here about the pros of this offer and the cons of this offer. It might be something financial. It might be something otherwise. In the summary area, you can also write a summary. In my professional opinion, I believe that this offer substantially demonstrates the buyer's ability to provide everything that we need and get this job done so that we can go home for the weekend. Period. In my... Again, just so that we can see what it looks like, where it falls, what it does to the offer. That's the main details of our offer. Again, you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, Robert, I really don't need this because my offer process is outside of command. Understood. Totally get it. If you use any of this, you can use the bare minimum required information to get the offer into the system. You have to do it, so you need to use the bare minimum. I showed you a bunch more stuff here because I'm going to demonstrate how cool this offer looks if you choose to use it. I'll hit save. Now we're back to our offers and commissions tab. It's completed the wizard. We're all set to go here. And in the offers and commissions area, we now see in an offer timeline, the offer that was generated on January 10th. Remember, that was yesterday. I entered that date, the date of the offer. So I'm filling it out today on the 11th, but it was actually offered on the 10th. Here is the buyer, John Morgan. Here is the agent for the buyer. The buyer is pre-approved, pre-qualified, and here is the details of the offer. It's $450, $20 in cash. Total of finance is $430. Earnest is $20. Options are $2. Closing date is 1/14. 3 days termination notice, and it is being reviewed. So when we see this here, we are reviewing this offer. This offer has not been accepted, nor has it been rejected. Okay. So the default here is, you see that big blue button that says accept offer. Now I can do that. I can accept this offer and get right to the commissions tab. And frankly, most of you will probably just do that because your whole goal here is to move past this. But we're going to take a moment. I'm not going to reject it. What I am going to do is go to the three ellipses on the right-hand side and see that there's a new menu of options here for this particular offer. And each offer will have these options. Add a negotiation. So maybe they come back with a counter offer. So this, or maybe we come back with a counter offer because we're the buyer, we're the seller in this case. So maybe we come up with a counter offer. We want to add that in there as a negotiation. So let's take a look at that one first. So I'm going to edit the negotiation, and we're going to say this price negotiation. Okay. Keep it nice and simple. And we'll say next. So now here on the price negotiation, offer details, parties, terms, and agent analysis. The same thing that we had before. So this offer is being updated to the 11th. We'll go ahead and move on to the next section here. And get my negotiations here. And we'll edit that because I didn't finish it. Okay, there we go. So we have the dates here. We'll click parties, same parties. And we could change it, but we're not going to. So we'll go to terms, and this is where things change. So maybe we are saying that I don't know. I don't know. Just change the cash amount to 30,000. And the financing is going to be 20,000, 420. Okay. So that changes a few things about the deal. Then we'll go ahead and say that's what we want. Now, again, I'm just using this for demonstration purposes. We'll leave everything else the same. We'll hit save here. So what we end up with is the timeline now shows a previous negotiation. So we have our initial values up at the top, 20, 430 for a total of 450. The 430, 450, 420, yes. And then down below here, we have our initial offer and our latest offer up here. So the previous one at the bottom, the newest one at the top. So this is our new number, and maybe that's the one that they're going to go with. So before we click accept, though, let's take a look and say, all right, now we have a negotiation and we're ready to put this out here. So we have an analysis that we can do. We have a send offer, and we have a remove offer, and we have a reject and all that. The send offer is the one I want to take a moment and show you here. When I click on send offer, it's going to say, okay, where is this going? So I'm going to send this to our seller, and it says you have a new offer on this. Great news, there's a new offer on your listing. You can also forward a copy of this to your email, which I'm not going to do here because I'm going to open up the client email. I have this actually is a functioning email, so I'm going to show you this. But before we show it in the email, there is a preview button on the right-hand side. So we actually get to see what this looks like before we send it. Check this out. Email preview. This is a preview that will be sent to the seller. So seller, hey, Jackie Astuto, great news. There's an offer in your listing. My header across the top here, my pro looking header, a nice display here. John Morgan is making an offer of $450 for a total offer price, 20 in cash, 20 in earnest. Equity here, the finance amount, option fees, 3-day termination. Looks like a winner. Look at that. Our pros and our cons. So our pros and our cons and our summary. All of that goodness that we created is packaged up nicely for us here in an email. So I'm going to go ahead and send this off. By the way, down at the bottom here, by your side at every step, Robert, Vincent, Realtor, download my app, each independent office, blah, 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 blah. Nicely done. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come down here and say send offer. There it goes. It sent the email away. And now I'm going to open up the Jacqueline's email here. And by putting that in front of you here, it says you have a new offer. So here is what Jackie receives in her email. So when she opens the email, you're going to get this nice looking, you have a new offer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make this a little bit bigger so you can see it, actually smaller, bigger, whichever way you want to look at it. So here is exactly what we saw a moment ago in the offer area of command. Now this is the email. So this is how it looks, formatted really nicely, put together information here. So of course they can open this up and see it independently if they want and make their decisions. So now once that seller receives this offer, they're probably going to pick up a phone and give you a call back, at which point you're going to come back into the offer and you're going to either say accept or reject or another negotiation and try to make some changes accordingly. Again, with this information that's on the right-hand side, we could remove it, add analysis, edit the offer. We can do anything we want. We are never locked in on this until we go to the commissions tab. So we have to accept some offer before we move on. We could accept the one we just put in there initially, which was just enough data to get us past this page. Or if we're going to use this to actually send it to our client, once that comes back as approved, then we can accept it. So I'm going to go ahead and accept the offer. So now the offer now has a little open statement here under the commission area, and it says commission status is currently open, which means now we can move to the manage commissions tab. So all of this, our offer is there. We have accepted the offer. The offer is listed. And where we accepted the offer before, we now have a brand new button that says manage commission. Also note that on the right-hand side, the ellipses have changed a little bit. We no longer have the option to negotiate this offer or do anything with it. We can edit it, add analysis, or resend it. If you need to change the response to unaccept the offer so that you can make some changes and negotiate again, you can click change response and it goes back to the approval/reject page. Now, in this case, we've already done that, so we don't need to change the response, but we can if we wanted to. Now that we're here, we've done all the work and we can now manage our commission. So we can click on manage commission. And this is the page that you wanted this whole time to get here. Notice that before we go any further, there is a red exclamation mark on the left-hand side here. The contract date is missing. This thing is going nowhere until we get that contract date in here. We already added the closing date, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of times what I see in here is when I'm working with agents, these two are typically red exclamation marks because they didn't put the closing date in the offer part, or they didn't put the closing date in the opportunity itself. So make sure that you recognize this, because this will stop you from going any further. So the contract date is required. So how do we fix that? All of the stuff up here, we click on edit general information, and on the sales price, we've got the commission rate, total commission. Down in the bottom left, we have our contract date. So I'll go ahead and put in here that the contract date, I think we had it on the 11th was accepted, so we'll say the 12th, okay? Which is tomorrow, but you get the idea. So now let's take a look at what this top section in the general information says. We have our sales price. Notice that the numbers that we used to get to the sales price are all back in the offers area. That's not what we're looking at. We're now looking at commissions. We're paid on the 450. Not on the 420 or the 430, not on the in and out of the cash or the equity, none of that stuff, not equity, escrow. So we're not paying on any of that. We're not worried about that. What we're worried about is the sales price. What we're worried about is seeing that commission price or rate being right. This is the commission rate. This is a big question I get all the time too, is the commission rate. Is that both sides of the deal? Is that the buyer thing? Is that the seller? What is that? That is your side of the deal. And what I mean by that is you're getting 3% as the agent from KW. That's the number that you're getting. This is your side of the deal on the KW side. Total commission, 13.5. That should be 3% of the 450. If you see an error in math there, call us. Specifically call Tristan or Kaylee and report there, because that could be a problem. But this is automatically calculated. The total units, this will always be 1. There is no real editing place for the total units for the transaction. If I come up here to general information, you can see that the total units, although I can highlight that, I can't make any changes. All transactions count as 1 total unit. This can be divided amongst the agents for payment, but the transaction is always a single 1 for transaction. Now, what that means is when you go to split this with anyone, you're going to split based on the 1. Consider it 100%. So what is the percentage of 1 that each of the agents is going to split this money? Because that's going to be used to calculate each of the splits. So 1 is always the number, and then we split the numbers underneath that in the payment areas, and we'll look at that in just a moment. So we have our closing date. We have all that information at the top. It's looking good. And on the right-hand side, we have our initial summary. And what I mean by initial is when we look at what's in here, we have the total commission, came from over here. We have the paid office. This is something that you can't edit. You want to make sure that it matches up with what you expect. You can reach out to the MCA if there's some kind of discrepancy here where it says that, in this case, 3510, the associate royalty, the company commission, and then any additional deductions and any nonprofit deductions here. The pay to agents right now, because we are the only agent on the deal, 100% of that commission after office is going to be ours. So our paycheck is 9990. That's assuming that there are no additional agents. So how do we add additional agents to see that breakup over here? That happens in the payment area. So let's look at the payment area. So we'll come down here a little bit on the left-hand side and we'll start at the top. In the payment area, it is loaded up automatically me, the agent. This is going to be automatic. It's not going to know about any other splits or anything else that you have to do. It's just going to put you in here. There was never another name involved, so that's why it's not going to know anything, right? So when we look at just this one payment here, we can see that as we go, actually, I'll start right at the top. Agent units 1. That means that this agent, Robert Vincent, is going to receive 100% of the commission because there's no split. The 13.5, the net pay to the agent, and the payment date. Then we go down a little bit further here and we have the breakdown. Gross commission 13, royalty, all the same numbers that we saw on the right hand at the top. Because it's a single agent, they all match up to the same thing. We're going to see what happens when we start to look at splits because it's going to change these numbers for each of the agents. It's going to show what each agent is making. But for right now, it's 100%. There is also, for your cap, you will see the actual and the balance towards your cap for the sides here, cap 20. You'll see the total actuals that you paid in the balances. So these numbers that are here are associated with what's going on inside. Mine are different because there's I'm not an agent, so mine are never going to change. You're always going to see zeros. You should keep an eye on this. Also understand that these numbers do not reflect this transaction. They reflect what is up to this transaction. So these numbers may not include what's going on inside this transaction because those numbers technically haven't been submitted yet. So while this looks like it's showing you, like what will be, it's actually what has already transpired. So hopefully that makes sense that this does not reflect these values yet. So, okay. As we go down through, we see the additional deductions, E&O, Bold Scholarship, some nonprofit deductions, KW Cares, Kids Can, and Net to Agent. After all those deductions, we see that bottom number, 9990, is exactly what we saw when we looked at the top. That's exactly what we would expect. Now let's get things weird. That was one agent. If we want to add another agent, we have two things at the top here of the payment section that we can work with. One is add another agent and one is add a co-broker payment. Let's talk about the three or four different things that can happen in here. One is you are splitting the commission with another agent who is on the deal, and it's not a referral. It's not somebody outside of KW. It's a KW agent that you are splitting the deal with. Doesn't have to be 50-50 for the purposes of this calculation, but the point is you are splitting this deal. This could be going to a team, so this could be part of that. We need to understand that there are two types of splits, an internal split and an external split. If you are splitting with an agent inside of KW, okay, then you need to add another agent to split it with them. If you are splitting the monies here with an agent outside of KW, a co-broker payment, you will need to add this information here. So an inside agent and an outside agent. Now, we'll take each one separately, and I'm going to start with the outside agent because the inside agent ones are much easier. So we're going to click on co-broker payment. Notice that when the dialog box pops up, we do have some information that we're going to have to figure out here. We need to know what the commission percentage is and the amounts and their tax ID. See that red star? We need this, and their tax ID type. Social or employee identification number, their Fed, what do they call it? Federal number, Fed ID. So commission rate here, if I go and I put in, let's say we're going to give them 2%, it automatically calculates the 9,025. It calculates, okay, here. So you can see everything in here is giving exactly what you would expect, okay? So let's say it's going to be 1%, whatever it is, okay? So the commission rate will automatically calculate out. Let's see what happens if we put in a number here. Yes, it does. It reciprocates just as we saw when we were doing the sale price and cash. So both of those numbers work out the same way here. Now the tax ID number here usually begins with a 9 especially if it's an EIN. All right. So you'll need that number. So where do you get that number? From the agent. You'll get it from that agent. So you'll need to say to them, I need your tax ID number so that I can pay you. And this is something that you can clearly see that you can't get out of this screen without that number. So now that you know that, you want to make sure that you reach out to that co-broke agent and say, I'm going to need this. So make sure that you have it for me. And I'm sure that most of you have encountered this. And if that's the case, they'll have it ready for you because they're going to want to get paid. So the company name is required. The pay to is going to be John Doe. And the agent pay to is going to be other agency or brokerage, whatever you want to call it. And the agent name here is going to have to go in as well. So we'll call this Kate Doe. And we have an address here. Now notice that this has a search for location. So if I do 321 here, you can see that it actually is using search tools to find the address. Understand that it's going to correct the address so that it goes in there the right way. The phone number is required. I'll go ahead and just throw an old-fashioned phone number in here. And the email is optional there as well. So now this is the co-broke payment. So I'll go ahead and click save, and I want you to see what it does. All right. So when I put that co-broker information in here, at the sliding too fast, I have an outside payment now that shows up here at the top of the page. All right. This is really important because you'll notice that one of the things that I mentioned about the units of this deal, there's only one unit, and that belongs to the agent. There is no ability to split this unit with a co-broke outside. You have to define the exact dollar amount for the external payment on the deal. So that's something that you're going to need to calculate externally. This is not the sharing of your the unit of the deal. It is a number that's calculated externally. So how does that impact the total overall up at the top here? You can see that we have the co-broke 5,000. It brings us down to the pay office numbers and all this, and still brings you up here. So this is showing you all of this information. You may need to adjust accordingly some other numbers to make it work out correctly. But now you know what is being calculated for you and what you have manually calculated for your external payment. Okay. Now I'm going to remove this co-broke payment, and we're going to come back and start again. So that was for an external co-broke. Now let's talk about the add other agent and the options within that. So I said that we had two options mainly for our splits, if you will, an outside agent and an inside agent. Well, there's actually within the inside agent, there's another set of information, and that is this a referral, inside referral, or is this an agent split of dollars? So you guys have been working together. It's not a referral. It's an actual split. Those both happen in the add other agent here. So when we go in, I think, yeah, well, actually I can do it both ways. Let's talk about it this way first. So we'll click on add other agent, and you'll see here, this says agent name. So this is a search field. So if we were going to search for someone, let's say it's going to be Judy Gaskell here. So notice that what I searched for, I'm looking at agents within KW. This is not searching your contacts database. This is searching the master database of agents at KWCLM. So if you were looking for somebody else here, let's say it was going to be Adam Dow, we can put that name in here. We see Adam Dow. If we put in Michael, we see all Michael Whitney. We see all the different Michaels that we have here. So when we put that name in here, we're pulling from the database of agents. So you want to make sure that you use that correctly, because you're actually tying it to their system in Winmore in the backside. Agent units. Now this is where things get sticky, because we know that we have one unit to work with, But if you can see on the back side of the screen here, it's actually showing my agent units as 1 from my entry. If I was to split this 50-50 to keep it super simple, I would do 0.5 units, right? And then I could come across the right here and calculate the commission. The 0.5 units is calculating 50% of the commissions, and you must click the calculate commission button. It doesn't do it automatically like some of those other fields. You put a number in here, let's say 0.3. You can come over here, you see it does not change. You have to click calculate commission. So when you do this, we'll go back to 0.5 just because I want to keep things nice and smooth. There we go, $67.50. The associate royalty now has not been calculated yet because we're not done saving the changes. But you can see that there's additional deductions, EO, bold scholarship. You will have to put this information in here on behalf of your splitting agent. So you're going to have to ask them, are you going to put anything towards the bold scholarship? Do you have any KW Cares donations? They might even have just a little sheet that they give you and say, yeah, please put this information into the split so that it actually shows everything. And you can see at the bottom, it's still showing 0 because it has not done the calculations yet. Now, there are extra payment options available here. And again, if you're not quite sure of what's going on here, just take a moment to remember that you are looking at your splitting agent's extra payment options. You are not looking at yours. So this is your splitting agents. Maybe they have an obligation to pay a referral fee to someone else. Maybe they're the ones that got the referral, brought it to you, and you guys decided to split 50-50. But they have agreed that they're going to pay that agent referral fee. Okay? This is where you're going to enter the agent referral fee for an agent on behalf of this splitting agent. Boy, that's a lot of talk there. Hopefully that makes sense. And if it does, we can come down here and we can click on add item. And we're only working on our splitting agent right now. So what type of additional element? We have bonus, concession, deduction, and more to go down at the bottom. Inside referral and outside referral. An inside referral is going to ask you for the agent name. So there's where you're going to use, again, that search. This is a KWCLM agent. That's all that's going to show up in this list. So if I take Buddy Dowd here and I put a dollar value, not a percentage of the split, it's nothing like that. We need to put a dollar value. So if I've agreed on 10% or something like that, you'll have to calculate that number outside of this dialog box and then put it in here. So let's put in, I'll put in, I don't know, $500. Okay. So again, I've calculated whatever the percentage is that I've agreed to against my numbers and put it in there for, well, on behalf of the agent that I'm splitting with and putting it in there on their behalf. So I'll click add and it shows now that everything's still waiting on me to finish, right? So there's Buddy Dowd is in here. So the rest of these numbers, now I'm going to go ahead and hit save changes. Now look what happens here. On the right-hand side, we have Michael Whitney is getting a half of this unit and Buddy Dowd is getting part of the money that Michael Whitney is getting, but it's a dollar value, not a percentage of this. But here's the big problem. We put in, notice that Robert Vincent, the agent here, is on the left. This is me. And then down below is Michael Whitney. But Michael Whitney has the correct agent units here that is being calculated. I, on the other hand, do not. I am still showing as 1.0. So I need to edit my payment. Edit the agent payment to be 0.5 so that it will calculate the correct amount of commission for my side of the deal. Because that 1.0, when you saw it, that 1.0 is 13.5. And I'm supposed to be paying Michael 67 whatever. You have to make sure that you come back in here, change your agent unit, and calculate the commission accordingly. And yes, You also have, as yourself, not as the splitting agent, the ability to add those extra payments, including bonus concessions, deductions, inside or even outside referrals. Outside referrals, you look at this and you'll say, okay, well, there's that outside referral and there's that tax ID number again. So we'll need to put that in there if it's an outside referral. This one does calculate percentages and gives you the amounts here. Okay. You'll need all of this information if it's an outside referral. If it's an inside referral, remember, an inside referral just requires the amount and the agent. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and we're not going to do anything except for, yeah, we'll leave this here like that with a 0.5. Now, when we look over here on the right-hand side, 13.5, the pay to office here, the associate royalty, all that. And then we have the breakdown pay to agents with our numbers here and accordingly. Okay. And why is Michael at 50%? 67, 67. Oh, that's right, because I've got all those other things in there. Okay. Now, when we added that other agent, we clicked this button up here at the top, right? We added that other agent right from here. We don't have to add referrals inside of the payment individually. We can actually add that down here at the bottom directly when we create that second agent. So you can create it here without having to go all the way through it to the bottom of the first one. Just keep that in mind that we have external referrals, internal referrals, co-brokes, commissions. It's all in there. It can get a little bit frustrating, but at the end of the day, everything's going to be in front of you and you'll see all of the different options that are available to you for each one of these. Okay. So the key thing to take away from this is to watch your units. The number one mistake is that people go to hit the submit button and the units are wrong. And the system goes, no, can't do it because you've got, 1.5 units or 2 units or whatever it ends up being. So you have to make sure you watch your units. The next thing to make sure of is that when you're editing your payments and you put the units in there, don't forget to calculate that commission number based on those units. Okay. And the other thing to remember is that when you come in here, the contract date needs to be added in most cases. And sometimes you'll need to add the closing dates and they will warn you, but just make sure that you do that. Okay. Now the last thing that we want to talk about before we submit this is this add note button. You can click that add note button on the right-hand side and you can send a message directly to the MCA who's going to approve this. And some typical notes that we see are, this commission is being submitted. However, you'll notice that I'm still dealing with a little bit of the paperwork on the closed end, on the closing side. This is because blah, 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 blah. If you just inform the MCA of what's going on, that will save a lot of questions from being asked. And if you, especially if you know that there are conditions for the submission of this, the more thorough you are in communicating it, the less you'll have to worry about those emails back going, hey, what's going on here? We have no idea why this looks like this. Make sure that you communicate using this add note tool so that you can effectively get paid faster, to make sure that you get paid quicker. Okay. Now, when you do click submit, what's going to happen is this button here is going to submit this to the market center. It says, are you sure? You have a last option to do any charitable donations. You can skip donations for all, or you can skip donations for Robert. So if we skip donations for all here, it's going to submit it to the market center. Thank you for your generous donation of $10 to KW Cares. There we go. And now check it out. There is a submission notification here at the top. And this submission notification is also followed by a request termination. Now I'm going to do this immediately so that it will be permanently removed, because I've obviously this is not a real transaction and I don't want Colin to give me a call in 5 minutes and go, what are you doing? So I'm going to go ahead and remove this and take it off, and it's now been requested and it's, there we go. Boom. It's been terminated successfully. I refresh the page and I will have the opportunity to go back in, make any changes that I need to, and termination requested. And there, when he clicks that is okay, then it'll come back for me for submissions. So this process all came about because we were completing the documents area and we needed to get to the commissions area to get paid. Remember, you have to go through that offers area to make that happen. You are not obligated to use the offer that is generated. I think it looks pretty darn nice, but you don't have to use it. But you do have to enter some basic data to move past that offer to get to the commissions tab. Just keep that in mind. So you see here that when we look at the offers and commissions, again, when I refresh it, I go back to the offer itself, and then it shows me, hey, this commission status is termination requested. I can view the commission. I can kind of reopen this and rework it once Colin has terminated this. So the process starts in the documents tab, finishes on the commissions tab, but it always goes through the offers tab to get there. Okay. So let me take a poke around the horn here, and I don't see any questions up on Facebook. Troy, do you have any questions for me here in the Zoom room?
No questions. Just figured I'd go over it. I've never really had issues here, but always good to learn little quick tips and tricks.
Excellent. So just out of curiosity, Troy, when you're doing this, do you pretty much just blow through the offer section to get to the commissions, or do you use the offer tool to generate offers for your clients?
I generally blow through the offer section. I mean, I put in what I need to put in, but it's already done and through by then. And that is a very, very common statement, is by the time that I get to this part, the offers we're done. We're all taken care of here. So this is a very common statement. This offers section is for those people who are committed to like using every little nuance of the program. It's available. And I think the benefit is it generates a nice looking offer. But again, that's one of those things where that transaction process, that offer process usually happens so darn fast. There's not a lot of time for back and forth. And so the process is usually much more verbal, much more quickly handled. And then once it's done, you're onto the commissions tab. So it's very common that that's the case. And I don't see a lot of people slowing down on that offers tab. They just go right through. So very common. Okay, so that should take care of it. I know that there's a lot in there. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. I'll go ahead and put up on the screen here that you can contact me at command@kwclm. That is my email. This video is being streamed live on YouTube right now, but it will be available afterwards as well at kwtechtube.com, which is our YouTube channel. And you can book time on my calendar if you want to discuss things further at timewithrobert.com. The Tech Lab, which is this same Zoom room, which is KW Tech TV, is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. The Facebook training feed is my personal feed on Facebook, and that is facebook.com/MCTT463. The only things that are on there are the training feeds, so you can go back and look chronologically and see what we've done for training, and go back maybe if you missed something last week. It's a really good, nice, simple feed with just all the training things. And of course, our learning portal, our LMS, the learning management system, is at kwclmtraining.com, and that's going to contain oodles and oodles of training material for you to check out. And if you have not created an account there, it's free to all KWCLM people. So go in there, use your KW access, your email, sign up, and check out all the training there, which will soon include this video after I get done editing it. And that's it for today. So we'll go ahead and stop that, stop this, and that's it for today. So I hope you guys got some good stuff out of this, and we will be talking to you next week. We're going to come back to Tech Tuesdays and DocuSign at 11, Command 101 at 1 p.m., and then the Command 301s at 3 p.m. So we'll see you then. In the meantime, have yourself a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.